The purpose of today's lesson is to help us understand what fluid compartment is. So, what is fluid compartment? In order to understand what fluid compartment is, let's first understand the word compartment. Now, take a look at this picture. That is a refrigerator. A refrigerator is a large object. And inside this large object, we have spaces for keeping specific items. So you can keep your fruits, your vegetables, your meat, your fish, your milk, anything at all as specific sections in the refrigerator. Each of these spaces in the refrigerator is known as a compartment. So a compartment is an enclosed space or area that is usually part of something larger and is often used to hold a specific thing. The human body too is something large, and within the human body we have spaces or areas for storing body fluids. So what exactly is fluid compartment? So in terms of humans or living things, fluid compartment refers to different spaces in the body where body fluids are stored and circulated. So for the animation on the screen, that is a joint. And at this joint, we have fluids that are stored in this space. So in that sense, this space is known as a fluid compartment. So what are the categories of fluid compartments? We actually have two categories of fluid compartments. We have inside of the cell and outside of the cell, as simple as that. So areas in which fluids can be found in our body are either inside of the cell or outside of the cell. Inside of the cell is known as intracellular compartment. So all the cells in the human body are intracellular spaces for storing fluids or are intracellular compartments. Then we have outside of the cell. Outside of the cell is known as extracellular compartment. So all places where fluids can be found outside of the cell fall under extracellular compartments. But here's the interesting thing. Fluids are found in these compartments. The type of compartment a particular body fluid is found gives it its unique name. That means we also have specific names for body fluids depending on where they are located. So you have certain body fluids that are found in intracellular compartments. And you have certain body fluids that are also found in extracellular compartments. So what do you think body fluids found in intracellular compartments are called? They are known as intracellular fluids. And those found in extracellular compartments are known as extracellular fluids. So let's take time to talk about each of these body fluids based on where they are located. So first one, intracellular fluids. What exactly do we know about them? They are found in the cells of all tissues and organs. All the cells that make up this tissue and organs have these fluids, and they are known as intracellular fluids. This intracellular fluid basically is what we refer to as the cytosol of the cell. That is that soup-like part of the cell in which all the organelles are found. And there are trillions of cells in the human body, and these trillions of cells serve as intracellular compartments for storing these intracellular fluids. So what are some of the importance of these intracellular fluids? What are some of the importance of it? Let's try and look at some importance of this intracellular fluid. For the first one, we have maintaining cell shape and hydration. Remember, the cytosol or intracellular fluids of every cell has a certain concentration it has to maintain. So if it becomes too diluted, the cell will expand and possibly burst. And if it becomes too concentrated or it loses too much of its water content, the cell will shrink. So it's just more like a balloon. So an inflated balloon has air in it. The air inside the balloon helps keep the shape of the balloon. If you let go of the air, the balloon will shrink. And if you put too much air in it, the balloon will burst. So the intracellular fluid in this case acts like that air in the balloon. It helps to keep the shape of the cell. And for the next importance, we have support chemical reactions. You see, we humans or living things, we eat a lot, and there are a lot of metabolic processes that happen in the human body. But where do these chemical reactions happen? They happen in these intracellular fluids. Then we have intracellular fluid storing and releasing energy for the cell. The mitochondria of cells produce energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate or ATP. When the mitochondria produces ATP or adenosine triphosphate, it stores it in intracellular fluids and then it releases it when the body needs it. So important. They have intracellular fluids helping in regulating cell function and transport of ions by means of transporting ions and molecules inside of the cell. And then intracellular fluids help cells to communicate. These communications are transmitted in the form of chemicals. Intracellular fluids are so important in performing this function. Now let's move on to extracellular fluids. Remember we said extracellular compartments are spaces outside of the cell where fluids can be found. That is extracellular compartments. So all fluids found in extracellular compartments are known as extracellular fluids. Now there are three main spaces outside of the cell that fluids can be found. The first one is blood vessels. So fluids can be found in our blood vessels. By blood vessels, mean the arteries, the veins, the capillaries. So these blood vessels transport fluids. They store this fluid and circulate them in the body. So the blood vessels act as extracellular compartments, storing extracellular fluids. They have the next space known as interstitial spaces. And by interstitial spaces, we are referring to all the spaces between the cells that make up our tissues and organs. So if you look at the picture on the screen, the structures you see in that picture are cells. Those are cells. And the cells have spaces between them. And these spaces can also store fluids. So these spaces are known as interstitial spaces. Then we have the last one, that are specialized spaces that store fluids like the brain, the spinal cord, the joint, the stomach, the lungs, the heart. These are also specialized spaces for storing body fluids. That means we have three types of spaces that fall under extracellular compartments, meaning we also have three types of extracellular fluids. The first type is plasma. So the extracellular fluids found in our blood vessels are known as the plasma. So the blood we see is made up of plasma and cells. So the liquid part of our blood, when we take away the cells and all those dissolved substances in it, then we have plasma. So plasma is an extracellular fluid. Then we have interstitial fluids. So interstitial fluids are fluids or body fluids found in interstitial spaces. Then we have the last one known as transcellular fluids. These fluids are stored in specialized spaces in the body. So now we have three transcellular fluids. How important are they to the human body? Let's take time to look at the importance of each of them. So for the first one, the blood plasma. Here are some of the importance of blood plasma. It helps in transporting red blood cells, white blood cells, blood platelets, hormones, and nutrients. So like you see on the screen, you see that the blood plasma contains all of these important substances and then transport them throughout the whole body. And it helps in maintaining blood pressure and pH balance. And by means of the blood plasma, waste substances, waste products are carried to all organs. Organs that need to excrete this waste product from the body. And also important nutrients and substances are carried to tissues and organs that need them by means of this blood plasma. Then we move on to interstitial fluids. How important are they? These interstitial fluids deliver nutrients and oxygen from the blood cells in our tissues and organs. Basically, the nutrients are found in the cells carried by the plasma. But how do they get to the cells that make up our tissues and organs? These nutrients must pass to these cells through the interstitial fluids. So the interstitial fluids serve as the middlemen. And they also do the same thing when it comes to removing of waste and transporting them back to the bloodstream, and also helping cell communication and immune response. And finally, we have transcellular fluids. How important are they? We have a lot of them, so many transcellular fluids, but I'll talk about just three of them. I'll talk about the synovial fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, and pericardial fluid. For the synovial fluids, it helps in lubricating our joints. Without them, movement in our joints will be restricted or nearly impossible. They have cerebrospinal fluid found in our brain and spinal cord. So with the cerebrospinal fluid, it helps to cushion our brain. And the same thing when it comes to our spinal cords found in our spines. And then we have pericardial fluid that lubricates our heart. So these are some few examples of transcellular fluids that helps us to survive. So what other transcellular fluids do you know? Leave it in the comment section. Let's see. So now let's summarize everything we've learned so far. We've discussed fluid compartments. These are spaces within the body that store body fluids. And we have two types, inside of the cell and outside of the cell. Inside of the cell, that is intracellular compartments, and then outside have extracellular compartments. For the extracellular compartments, we have three. We have the ones found in the vessels, the ones found in the interstitial spaces and transcellular spaces. So, we also spoke about the fact that the location of a particular body fluid gives it its unique name. So, the ones found in intracellular spaces are known as intracellular fluids. And the ones found in extracellular compartments are known as extracellular fluids. And the ones found in the vessels, blood vessels, are known as plasma. And the ones found in interstitial spaces known as interstitial fluids. And then we finally have transcellular fluid. So basically, that was what we've learned so far in this video. If you find this video helpful and interesting, you can leave a like and leave a comment also in the comment section. Now, what's the purpose of this channel? So if you know any student at all that needs help, maybe the person preparing for WASSCE, BC, for WASSCE maybe needs help in elective biology, chemistry, physics, integrated science, elective maths, or core maths, you can share this channel. Don't be selfish. The student should just drop the topic he needs help in any of these subjects, and will find time to help out. And for BC student to math or integrated science, the person can drop the topic he needs help in, and when we see it, we'll find time to actually try to teach that topic. So that brings us to the end of this video. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting content. In fact, educational content like this. See you next time.